Hi folks, welcome to your mwis Friday Planner in association with Ellis Brigham. Autumn is very much a season of contrast. We can get the mists and mellow fruitfulness, and we can also get the very wild and wet conditions. And unfortunately for the week ahead, it's the latter that is in charge as a series of Atlantic weather systems come sweeping in. Let's have a look at the charts for the weekend, and for Saturday we have a strong westerly airflow across the country. We have gale force winds still across the higher mountains for a good part of the day, some very squally and gusty conditions, particularly around showers, and those will rattle in from the Atlantic, merging at times into some longer spells of rain. It's a polar maritime air mass that's drawing in fairly cool and unsettled conditions then from the North Atlantic, cool enough for those showers to contain some hail and some sleet or wet snow on the very highest tops in Scotland, where the summits will be only a degree or so above freezing point. Showers still also coming in across the Lake District into the western side of the Pennines, fewer across West Wales, but there will still be some fairly frequent rain or some showers at times for western parts of Snowdonia. Further eastwards across the mountains, across the Cairngorms, to the eastern side of the Pennines, the Cheviots and the Peak District, doing better for just a handful of showers from time to time with higher cloud bases and a bit of sun. Into Sunday, and high pressure shows some signs of trying to build from the southwest. We do, though, have a westerly airflow continuing across Scotland, not quite as showery as on Saturday, but for northwestern parts, those areas of showery rain will still be frequent. They may fade out somewhat for more southwestern parts of the Highlands as the high starts to just build a bit further northwards, but in the far northwest, still a rather showery day. One or two showers passing eastwards, but for central eastern parts of Scotland, more often dry. Still a windy picture and chilly across the tops. Those winds could still be gale force for periods across northernmost mountains. Now further south into England and Wales, the wind's lighter as higher pressure is around, and the main uncertainty surrounds the little area of low pressure that passes across the English Channel. And still, forecasting models have varying solutions on this one, and this is perhaps the more pessimistic, where it develops a little centre of low pressure, and that would give the potential for some rain for South Wales, but it may be that this feature hardly develops like this at all, skirts away across the English Channel, and much of England and Wales then escape with a dry day. I think for South Wales, do just keep an eye on the forecast. Further north for Snowdonia, for northern England, should be a mostly dry and bright day. The start of next week sees high pressure towards the south and the airflow turning more southwesterly, and that's introducing some milder and relatively more humid air and another frontal system that moves in towards the northwest, and that has the risk of some heavy rain developing again for west and northwest Scotland, the risk of gales coming on too as that system approaches through the day, so especially by the afternoon could well be even severe gales across higher mountains near to the west coast of Scotland. The wind will increase elsewhere as well, maybe some patchy rain and drizzle around the Solway Firth on the coasts of Dumfries and Galloway. A bit of that might get into the Western Lake District, but more likely for England and Wales, staying dry and bright with some variable mist around in the morning, that lifting and breaking, and then some sunshine and broken cloud and high level cloud through the afternoon. We're under a broad, warm sector by the time we go into Tuesday, a mild and fairly humid air mass then, a tropical maritime air mass that was moving across the country by this stage, and that introduces then a lot of low cloud and misty, murky conditions, particularly over coastal mountains in the west. A cold front that then moves in across Ireland into western Scotland will intensify the rain once more into some heavier bursts that may well set in for a while. Cooler air follows and some showers in amongst that as well, so temperatures will drop most likely through the daytime as that cold front passes. Looks a windy day with the isobars close together, gale force winds over the mountains once again. Best chance for staying drier and brighter for longer towards more eastern mountains in Scotland and the eastern side of the Pennines. Wales may not do too bad, just depends on the timing of that front coming in, but still expect there to be rather misty, murky and drizzly conditions near to the Irish Sea. Now, as these frontal systems continue to move their way across Britain, the likelihood is that through midweek that one of them forms into what we'd call a wave, and that's where rather than clearing through, it runs along itself on a conveyor belt for a while, essentially the developmental phase of an area of low pressure, and that can bring some prolonged heavy rainfall. Now, exactly who gets that through midweek is uncertain. Indications would point towards England and Wales being under the heaviest belt of that rain, but these are the systems that can bring some some very high rainfall totals, especially to windward mountains, as the atmosphere just runs into the uplands and then wrings itself out like a sponge. So we need to watch that carefully for the potential for some very heavy rain in the middle of the week. For Scotland, more likely into cooler air on the northern side of that frontal zone, and still a rather showery, unsettled story, maybe some brighter conditions around, but all eyes on the detail for midweek at this stage. If we step back and look at the big picture through the middle and second half of the week, you can see that long trail of a rain system then, that frontal wave moving across England and Wales during Wednesday. That then followed by what we're seeing in the shorter term forecast, which is that more polar maritime westerly airflow originating off the North Atlantic for some further wet and windy weather, all circulating around a general area of low pressure parked up near Iceland. So rather cool and unsettled conditions still look to prevail through the second half of the week. Western Scotland again seeing most of the rain by that stage, and temperatures cool enough once more for some hail and possibly some snow on the higher Munros. Detail towards next weekend is very uncertain, and we're watching for further developments over the Atlantic. The hurricane that's been around Florida in the past few days, it will largely go off into North America, but bits of energy from that system could still be drawn off into the Atlantic, so we're watching those developments carefully. There's some indications that start to build some higher pressure in the forecast sequences by next weekend, just out to the west of us, and if that can come in, then there may be some settling down for a time, so we'll watch that for any improvements around next weekend. Plenty going on then. Keep an eye on your local details every day on our website. That is your Friday planner in association with Ellis Brigham. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.